Sort of ish. The weather's making me grumpy, but not here, not on this show. I'll be happy here, just grumpy in the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's rainy here. Is it rainy there?
No, snowy and cold.
Snowy. Oh yeah, it's snowy by the time. My mom texted me this morning and said, "I see the rain's coming in from California. It's going to bring us more snow. Could you just send it south instead?"
Yeah, you have that power. You can do that.
I said, "Sure, Mom. I'm out front blowing as hard as I can.
Anything for you, Mom." Well, yeah, didn't they just have the hideous? The whole Midwest got hammered.
Yeah, they got dumped on.
Oh, you remember those days?
Oh, I sure don't miss them either.
Remember, but
not the
do
dumping
not
on.
miss.
I miss the the gentle flakes falling.
Yeah.
During Christmas time, right? I miss that.
Yeah.
I do not miss having to shovel it, walk in it, freeze in it, any of that.
Yeah, the gentle flakes.
The gentle flakes of dandruff.
I played a guitar for them for years and years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I should have realized that.
For the gentle flakes.
I'm adding that to your Wikipedia page.
Yeah, get it in there. I won't.
Guitarist for the Gentle Flakes, 1973 through 1977.
I won't edit it. I'd leave that. I'd let that fly. Why not? All right, here goes then. Recording is looks like it's happening. Let me make sure. Yep, we're good. Okay, here we go. It starts in precisely. Minimize that. Okay, there we go. Starts right now in 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek!
Current Geek!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to... Oh, that didn't go down, did it? Let's fix that. Hey, everybody, welcome to Current Geek, the talk show about items of interest to the geeks of the world and you. I'm Scott Johnson. He's Tom Merritt. Hello, Tom Merritt.
Hello, Scott Johnson. It is good to be back in this new year, the year of our Lord 2019, in which we are all happy and everything's fine.
Yeah, there's no problems. Everything's fine.
You remember, of course, in our last episode when we fixed all the world's problems. If you missed it, please go back and check it out. Everything is great now.
Did we fix them all last time?
I'm pretty sure we got to all of them. Checking. Yeah, we did. We got them.
All right, well done. I feel like we owe ourselves a little pat on the back, and we can celebrate by doing another one of these for the fine people at home. Thank you all for watching, listening, and otherwise paying attention to us. We appreciate it. Hey,
we're just attention seekers. Please pay attention to us.
Yeah, especially after our Star Wars episode, I was expecting some, I don't know, not blowback, but I expected just a lot of opinions and stuff to say about Star Wars. Instead, it's all just been really positive. Oh, I'm so glad you guys talked about it. It's so fun to forget about everything that's come since and just focus on what we originally saw. There's a purity of that episode, which is kind of nice.
I hadn't thought about that aspect of it because we focused just on the movie Star Wars before it was A New Hope or anything. That probably is refreshing for a lot of people.
I think there's something to that. And we were happy to inadvertently bring you back to your parts of your childhood you had maybe forgotten. So
that's great.
2
months from now, we'll be doing E.T., so check that out.
That'll be the rough emails. No, probably not. That'll probably be fun.
Yeah. You ruined my childhood, Scott and Tom.
I can't believe it. How dare you? All right, well, that's all well and good. Let's dive into this week's headlines. Oh, gosh dang it, Scott. Here they are.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
Hey, soundboard notwithstanding, it's stuff from Tom Merritt, who gathered things this week. What happened? What went on?
I'm a hunter. I'm a gatherer of geeky items of interest.
Sweet.
And I think today we should start with the SpiderMan trailer that dropped this morning as of the day we're recording this. It is called SpiderMan in Europe. No, it's SpiderMan Far From Home. But Far From Home means he goes to Europe. And you watched the trailer, right, Scott?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So this morning, my wife, who works for Rotten Tomatoes, was watching it because they're doing a Easter eggs video. They do this series of videos where they look at trailers. They actually look at movies too, and tell you all the hidden things, all the interesting references, stuff you might not have noticed. Not exactly Easter eggs in most cases, but they're interesting stuff. And so she was looking at it, and I said, and she's like, so I guess one of the things is we know that Nick Fury survived. We know Spider-Man survived, but we really don't find out that much more. I was like, well, hold on.
Yeah, back up.
There's no evidence in this trailer of when this takes place. And she stopped, like literally stopped dead in her tracks in the hallway. I was like, well, you think it happens before Infinity War? I'm like, I don't think it happens before Infinity War because this movie comes out after the next Avengers movie. But the trailer leaves it ambiguous.
Yeah.
There is nothing in this trailer that definitively shows, oh, this is definitely happening. Spider-Man could have met Nick Fury before the events of Infinity War. There's nothing that directly contradicts that. When they show his passport, and a bunch of people did screen caps of this and zoomed in, it is definitely obscured what the dates are.
Yeah.
So that you can't even tell from his passport when this might be happening.
Yeah, they blur that stuff out. Yeah, I know.
It's just dark.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
They do it it's very deftly handled, but they absolutely, I noticed that as well when I got to that, because I was looking for all the cues and clues of what the timing would be. And the title, before all this, we've had the title for a while, and it was so evocative. It's like, Far From Home. I'm like, well, yeah, that's where Titan is, far from home. Okay.
Now, Sidian in the chat room doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Sidian says, Marvel said it takes place after Avengers Endgame. Unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Sure. Maybe they say that. But is there any evidence in this trailer?
Marvel says a lot of things, including stuff up till Infinity War Part 1 that turned out to be complete hokum and or MacGuffin and or misdirection. They do this.
Yeah.
And they're good at it because they know that we're eating it up. And as much as we're eating stuff up, they're like, well, what if, and they throw it out there and we go, oh, okay, yeah. They don't have, they weren't going to do a part 2. Turns out they're just going to make one movie. Remember that, all that talk?
Oh, right. Yeah.
It turned out complete garbage because, and I actually appreciate it because I liked being fooled a little bit there. That's a fun kind of fooling. It's like an April Fool's Day from your uncle or something. It's a good time. I don't have a problem with it. It's just this idea that anything Marvel says is law is I think they've proven that they can't be, like you said, not reliable narrator at all in this scenario. So I cannot take what that says as canon.
Frankly, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, I in no way believe this movie takes place before Infinity War. It definitely takes place after Endgame. So when Marvel says that, I actually believe them. But it was fun to watch for clues of that. And I like that Marvel played it close to the vest and said, well, if you don't know it takes place, if you're like an innocent out there just watching the movies casually and not some obsessed geek like us, you're not going to be tipped off. We're not going to tell you one way or another. What if these are flashbacks though? What if the movie takes place after Endgame, but many of the things we saw in the trailer are flashbacks?
Could be.
And actually the rest of the movie is SpiderMan the Ghost because he's dead.
Oh, okay. And now,
Spider Casper.
Spider Ghost. I'm in.
Spider Ghost.
He'll show up in the next Spider-Verse sequel. He'll be one of the many dimensions we haven't explored yet.
Oh, speaking of that, though, we did see a brief flash of a Spider-Man noir-looking outfit, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And we don't know for sure what that is. It could be a number of things, but it leads me to think that
probably just dumped coffee all over his normal uniform.
All it is. He was just very even and 100% with his coffee
that dark
spill.
French coffee. That's probably what it was.
It really bleeds through the suit. But then I got lots of questions about why the suit he has on, why not his iron suit, iron spider suit, why not?
Right.
I got a million questions about that.
The international trailer, you see his original suit packed because Aunt May, even though he says I'm gonna leave it at home, she like packs it for him anyway. And there's a little note like, thought you might want this after all.
And
doesn't explain everything.
And keep in mind, somebody's hearing us say that who hasn't seen the last Spider-Man movie going, what? Aunt May? She doesn't know. No, she knows. The very final scene in Spider-Man Homecoming.
I like how instead of apologizing for spoilering, you're like, oh, if you haven't seen the last movie, well, guess what?
Their time limit is up. They should have seen it already. If they haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming, then I feel for them. But there's a very heavy MCU influence here. The very fact that we're talking about it this excitedly feels like an MCU thing. There's a lot of stuff hanging off the end of Infinity War Part 1. And because of that, I guess it's not Part 1 anymore, just Infinity War.
Yeah. Endgame is the Part 2.
Is it called Infinity War Endgame or just Avengers Endgame?
No, it's just Endgame. Avengers Endgame.
Okay. So that's how they tricked us too. They got me saying Part 1 and 2 all day. But it's very exciting. Like, it's exciting to get excited about a Spider-Man movie, you know? And I don't mean, like, Spider-Verse was amazing, but it's a separate thing. It's a whole different kind of sectioned off thing that was just incredible. And by the way, makes it so that any future Spider-Man properties really need to work hard to at least bask in the same glow, because that Spider-Verse thing is incredible. This should be good. And the fact that all the, you see Nick Fury and you're like, oh, MCU, and you see Jon Favreau show up, who plays, he not only directed the Iron Man movies, the first two anyway, but he's the
Hoppy.
He's Hoppy. He's the bodyguard
Happy
guy or whatever for Tony. He shows up. You're like, MCU. So it's got that flavor in there.
Yeah, it's
good. The one thing we haven't talked about at all, and I just want to at least get it out there, is you got Jake Gyllenhaal as, I don't know who that is. This may be me turning in my nerd card.
Who's, you mean it's Mysterio.
That's Mysterio?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm fine. Okay. I just, it's the fact that it's him that it's throwing.
Yeah, no, I love that. Are we going to get Andrew Garfield in the next one?
I don't know. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. If Andrew Garfield, wait, that implies that Jake Gyllenhaal played Spider-Man before. You're
right. No, I'm messing around now. But.
I just saw him and I went, no, wait, hold on. Why is he in this? And I couldn't get my head around what he was doing. He's flying around. He's like a little Thor-like, and they even joke a little bit in the trailer about it. So I have a lot of questions about that representation of him, and it's just getting interesting. I'm stoked, like kind of across the board. And we don't know who the villain is here, really, do we? We don't. It's not Mysterio. It's somebody else.
Well, I mean, that's what I love about Mysterio, because I'm a big fan of that original run of Spider-Man, the Silver Age stuff. And Mysterio, you don't know if he's on your side or not. He's definitely against Spider-Man at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
in the comics. So that doesn't come across if you don't know him already. It just looks like he's a superhero that's kind of upstaging Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But I think there might be some battling going on.
Right, I agree. Sidian in the chat says Scott seems to think that there's some ambiguity about this being MCU. No, not at all. My point is that I'm still, I'm celebrating the fact that we are now on a new horse, and that new horse still works for Sony, but that new horse was built by Kevin Feige, how you say his name, and it just feels good. And you have to remind yourself, this isn't separate. This isn't some offshoot. This isn't a reattempt. This is like the third time is the charm, and it's stuck, and it feels good. So bring it on, I say. Bring it on.
Bring it. Bring it on. We're not saying it isn't MCU. We're saying it's cool to have Spider-Man still feeling MCU.
Yeah.
Like he's firmly in there. It's great.
I do agree.
All right. Something else that feels.
Oh, man. Hold on. You there? Hold on. Something cut out. Crap. Hold on a second. We lose Tom. No connection. We try again. We are having no connection. No, I don't mean your connection. I mean maybe mine. Or something is happening. Or Discord's farting out. No route. What does that mean? Here, hold on. Let me restart. What does that even mean? No route? All right, we'll give that another shot here. Let's try that again. Okay, we are full screen. Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, now I'm getting all green. I don't know what that was. I had to restart it.
You started breaking up for me.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't shocked when I started breaking up for you.
Yeah, something was, the quality of our call got hosed.
Yeah, because and it's not on my end because the Twitch stream was smooth. It was fine. So.
Yeah. So I don't know what that was. That was weird. Anyway, sorry. You were about to launch into, let me start the thing again. I paused it. Sorry, you were about to launch into our second fantastic thing we were going to do.
Now, from another alternate universe, at CES, Samsung announced it will bring the iTunes TV and movie store to its 2019 smart TVs, as well as some of its older TVs. And almost all the major TV manufacturers announced support for AirPlay. So peace in our time. iTunes leaving the Mac, iOS, Windows cage it's been living in and just showing up on TVs. Scott, well, at least on Samsung TVs. You can AirPlay it to everything else, though. This is definitely in advance of Apple announcing its TV service. If you didn't know, folks, Apple's been spending billions of dollars commissioning original shows from Steven Spielberg, Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston. The list goes on. Alan Moore. There's just all kinds of stuff being created by top talent for Apple, and nobody knows what they're going to do with it. There's all kinds of speculation. Nobody knows what they're going to do with it. Seems to me like getting your iTunes app on Samsung might be a great little Trojan horse to launching a streaming service outside of Apple right there. The other thing to know, if you didn't know already, is Apple is making less and less money off its hardware, and it has said it is going to transfer to making money off of services. This would be a way to do it, even outside that hardware ecosystem. I
would agree. The part about this that's of interest to me is it seems to answer the age-old rumor as to whether or not Apple was working on their own television that would have smart capabilities, but there was a long-held rumor that Apple would have a TV that they would put out, a literal television display, whatever, and it's not going to happen. In fact, this, if anything, this is finally a nail that is recognizable as one that would go into that rumor coffin, because this is a service they're launching, which makes perfect sense to me. Like, you've already got all this infrastructure in terms of you don't need to get into the television display business. You just freaking don't. What you do need to get into is the very competitive and lucrative effort to get people's eyeballs with quality, curated entertainment. And that seems to be what they're...
That's the growth industry, right? That's where Netflix, which is raising its prices and gets its stock price to go up as a result, is going, because, that's where the money is. TVs, you see TV companies get out of the TV business, not get into the TV business. So, of course... this is where it's going.
And Samsung's not about to start their own network, although I shouldn't say that. Some of these guys might at some point.
I wouldn't be so sure. Those Korean K-balls, they like to have their fingers in every little pie. And, Samsung's got a financial arm. It's got a white goods arm, laundry and stuff like that. It's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that Samsung wouldn't do it, but they're not doing it right now. And they also know that, even if they did do it, they want to have as many different things on their TVs, and if that gives them the edge in sales right now over Sony and Panasonic and LG, then that's what they're going to do.
There was a lot of talk before about, we don't know any of this, I don't think, but there was a lot of talk about how if they launched a service, it would be free to those who owned iPhones, owned Apple TVs, owned Apple hardware,
Apple stuff,
and so this would be a streaming service that just was part of your ecosystem, and you weren't paying an extra whatever a month for it. Do you think that still holds water, or why wouldn't
no
they?
Idea. There's all kinds of different ways they could do it. I've got no clue how they're going to do it. Putting the iTunes TV and movie store on Samsung implies that they want to sell stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing on the Samsung store, you're going to have to pay for a service.
Right.
Whether there will be a free version of it on your iOS devices, and whether that means you'd still have to pay to get it somewhere else, who knows? Apple may not have even decided that yet. They may still be running the numbers.
Yeah, I'm interested in this. We'll see how it goes. Time will tell.
Well, let's get to another episode of Star Trek. Picard. Star Trek Picard series creator Alex Kurtzman says the series will tie into the events mentioned in the Star Trek movie, the one that J.J. Abrams did. Basically, the fall of the Romulan Empire that spurs the events in the Star Trek movie has a big effect on Picard in the original Star Trek universe, since Picard was an ambassador to Vulcan and worked with Spock on the reunification with Romulus. Also, CBS All Access confirmed that Michelle Yeoh will star in a Star Trek Discovery spin-off series about Captain Georgiou's role in Starfleet's mysterious Section 31, and Alex Kurtzman and Rod Roddenberry will executive produce that. So here's a couple of the... We knew we were going to get a bunch more Star Trek. We know there's a Below Deck Star Trek being developed as well. That's a comedy. What do you think of these two ideas?
Well, it's been all the talk on the morning show, actually, just throwing around opinions and ideas of what we think this stuff would look like. And it's nice to see the Picard things start to take a little bit of shape, because up till now, nobody's known much about it at all. There was originally, when the news hit, I noticed a big backlash with all my Star Trek friends going, no, we don't want to be in the alternate JJ universe. We want it to be in the Prime universe. And then it was clarified, oh, it is the Prime universe, but it's the events that kicked off a bunch of that stuff that affected him. So in effect, we've got a fork in the road. And
well, I think it's going to take place after that. So,
right.
You know, if you haven't seen the original Star Trek J.J. Abrams movie, close your ears. But when we see the Romulan come through from the alternate universe to try to prevent Kirk from being born, and we see Spock crossover, I think Picard is going to happen after those events happened in the original. So after Vulcan has been destroyed, after the Romulans come over into the Abrams verse, and probably after Spock has left, probably to the Prime universe's appearance disappeared.
Right. And so I'm totally down with it. I have no problem with there being a little piece of connective tissue. I do prefer that this happens in the proper Picard line. It's the same timeline that was his TNG line. Like it's Picard all the way through. So that's interesting to me. We know he's going to have memory problems because that happens in Journey's End, the final Next Generation episode, although Q's involved. So maybe that's not for sure. You know, maybe that's a mutable timeline. But. Yeah. I remember in one half of those, was it called Journey's End? What was that? Oh yeah, it was. No, wait, it was called, it was All Good Things, but I think half of it was called
All Good Things. Sorry.
I forget. I don't know.
I always call that one the wrong.
What's Journey's End? That's totally familiar. You had me.
That's the name of another episode.
Well, anyway, so wait. So it's All Good Things. All right. So in All Good Things, yes, he seems to be kind of losing it, but you're right. A lot of that's attributed to Q. You know, so who knows? But I love the idea of Picard getting. They're not going to do this as much as I want them to do, but I loved Picard's interest in archaeology. That was a big. I don't know, a little side fun thing for me in my head was, well, if Picard wasn't captaining the ship, if he wasn't being all Starfleety, he'd be off Indiana Jonesing somewhere and going to some far off planet, exploring some weird cave and finding some relic that was only rumored to exist. And I kind of hope we get some of that. We're probably not going to, because this sounds all very focused, this Romulus stuff. But I love the idea of Patrick Stewart's character getting to just, you know, go do what he wants to do for a while. And make that entertaining, and he could still be a little bit of a villain of the week, but you know, it's old Patrick Stewart traveling the universe with a small crew, looking for rad archaeological finds. I think that would be cool. You would watch that.
And maybe that'll be the side gag. Maybe that's how he's dealing with all of this. Is he's trying to do that and keeps getting pulled into adventures. Also, my New Year's resolution is to get everything wrong. So please don't take anything I say. Journey's End. Also, it's Romulus that gets destroyed in the Prime universe, not Vulcan. Vulcan gets destroyed in the Abrams verse. So remember, nothing I say is true. Everything I say, always.
Okay, perfect. Am I getting robot-y for you again? Just curious. Nope.
No, you're fine.
All right, we're good. Sorry, I noticed the thing was getting red and now it's green. Well, all right. As to the other one, the Giorgio stuff, that would indeed be a prequel, right? That's not her.
I guess so, or a concur equal. No, it's probably a prequel. It probably goes like, here's what happened before she served with any, episode 1. I can't remember the name of her ship.
Oh, what was that called? Ah, crap.
I'm not even going to try because I'll get it wrong.
It's the USS All Good Things.
Yeah. The USS Journey's End gets destroyed at the beginning of Star Trek Discoverer. And Captain Yo-Yo goes off and marries
Captain
Jean-Luc Picard's daughter.
I love it.
Yeah.
Captain Yo-Yo, that's the new name of the new series for me. But she's super great as an actress. Michelle
Yeoh is great. Yeah, she's fantastic. I can't wait to see her act.
Yeah, and I like her more, sure. But it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, because on top of these two things, we also have some kids stuff coming. They haven't been real clear about what that is, animated. And then there's like a more mature animated series being worked on for All Access. It seems like CBS All Access is all in on the Star Trek. You know?
Oh yeah, and smart move. Of course they are. If they want to build that service into something that people think of as an option along with Hulu and Netflix, they're gonna have to do that.
Are you bummed at all that the They canceled the fourth movie has been shelved. But do you think that has any connection to the idea that the TV thing is so on fire right now that they're like, well, let's not overdo this. Let's have.
I don't overthink that crap. Yeah. I really don't. Like, they probably shelved it because it was a bad idea. And good. I'm glad. Yeah. If it was a bad idea and they couldn't make it, fine. Shelve it. Movies, by the way, are run by Viacom, not by CBS. Totally different companies. So it doesn't have anything to do with each other.
That's a really good point. Yeah, they'll figure their crap out there. It's fine.
Although I'm wrong about that stuff.
Somehow we just don't know yet.
Just so you know.
The words I heard were it wasn't good enough. They thought to make enough money to cover the costs of what Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth now make in movies. They're both megastars, especially Hemsworth. And when Hemsworth was George Kirk the first time, nobody knew who he was. Now everybody knows who he is, and he's a huge star in Hollywood. So I think their idea of a little flashbacky George Kirky thing got real expensive real fast. Pure speculation. But they'll get it together, figure it out, and I still hope the Tarantino thing happens.
Here's what I think happens. Yeah. Viacom's all kinds of messed up right now. Viacom will probably either get bought or merged within the next couple of years, and then they'll revisit whether they should keep going with that. If Viacom merges with CBS, then suddenly those two Star Trek franchises are back under the same company anyway, and that's possible. But even if Viacom gets bought by somebody else, then I think they revisit making those movies then.
Yeah, and that'll be fine.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about Dave Bautista. You know him as, well, maybe you know him as a wrestler, actually. But you also know him as Guardians of the Galaxy. He's on board to act in Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Dune. Bautista will join Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson in the film. Chalamet will play Paul Atreides. Ferguson is Lady Jessica, Paul Atreides' mother. And if you read Dune, you may guess that Bautista is playing Beast Rabban, the brutish nephew of Baron Harkonnen. The film is set to cover just the first half of the Dune book. So they seem pretty confident that Villeneuve's version of Dune will break the curse and be successful, unlike previous attempts, which were either mildly successful in case of the sci-fi BBC miniseries, or not successful in the case of the one that was put out with David Bowie in it. And sorry, I'm wrong because it's Sting.
It's Sting, not David Bowie.
And Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah, MacLachlan. Anyway, yeah.
That one that David Slidge took his name off of. Yeah. That's all. Those are cursed. Then there's the one that never got off the ground. Anyway, they seem pretty confident about this one.
I am okay, for all the naysayers out there, anyone in the chat, someone in the chat says, "Oh, another Dune." Listen. This is the time, this is the place. Villeneuve's the guy. This is the movie. I am telling you right now, that guy has got it going on. Arrival's amazing. That Blade Runner sequel's incredible. Has no right to be as good as it is. I mean, I'm telling you, that guy knows to make stuff. That other one he made, I forgot the name of it, that I'd like so much. Crap. Anyway, great director, incredible director, huge visionary. All you have to do is go watch that 2049 Blade Runner and go, oh, I can see why they'd hire him for this. It's perfect. It's perfect. So we now live in a time of...
I mean, basically the color scheme of Blade Runner 2049 is Dune.
Right. Yes, it is. Especially when they're in Vegas. Like, it's ridiculous how closely tied those visions are in terms of this director. And we also live in a time where the sky's the limit in terms of what he can portray. We don't have to be limited anymore. We're not in the David Lynch one where everything kind of just sucks. These worms, these sandworms are going to look incredible. The set pieces, the great halls, the way that they depict that kind of stuff is going to be insane. And he's going to get the tone right, the feel right, and we are all going to be in love with this. I'm more excited about this than I am about any movie project currently underway, and I can't wait for it.
Better or worse than Mad Max Fury Road?
I mean, it has the potential to lap it. It really does. And I love Mad Max Fury Road.
Wow.
In fact, I look at this in the same way. It's funny you brought that up, and I know people are sick of my Mad Max talk, but Fury Road to me is an incredible achievement for lots of reasons, but one of them is just pulling it off in such grand fashion, taking a thing that we all thought we understood and pulling it off in a way that you went, oh my gosh, this is so much cooler and bigger than it needed to be. That's what I think can happen here, and it's entirely possible. Like, also Villeneuve, Sicario, that's the other movie. He hasn't made a movie I don't like. They're all really good. And I just think we need to get behind this. You guys, we're all a bunch of nerds. We're excited about this. Current Geek audience, you know who you are. Be ready for this and have a happy glass, mostly full attitude, because I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah. Oh. I think you're right. I think this will probably break the curse. And I think we'll finally get the Dune movie we all wanted. Yeah. Or at least possibly.
And I would, to the Dave Bautista news, this is an important point, I think, since that's the big part of the news. He did have a very small part in Blade Runner, but an incredibly memorable one and a really well portrayed one. So again, in the shadow of 2049, 100% with this pick. I think that Dave Bautista has
and Beast Raban is perfect for him.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a knock on Dave Bautista, it's that he may not have the range to play anything, right? But these characters like Drax, like I don't remember the name of the Blade Runner character, but these characters that are sort of quirky and require someone that's a little off.
Yep.
Perfect. And Beast Raban he's a megalomaniac. He's nuts.
He's the definition
and
of
it'll be
off.
interesting to see Bautista play something that's not flat affect, unless they make Raban be flat affect because of that. But I want to see a little more of Dave Bautista, the wrestler, in Beast Raban. I think that would be great.
Yeah, let's really just play him up, and nothing wrong with Drax the Destroyer. Don't get us wrong. We love him, but this is a chance to see something all new from him, and I think that
is correct, Scott.
Yeah.
His recent medical reports claim there is nothing wrong with Drax the Destroyer. Hey, a team at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro found that people with Alzheimer's disease have lower levels of the hormone irisin than people without Alzheimer's. Irisin is generated by muscle tissue during exercise. In tests of mice memory, deficits arose when irisin was cut out, and the capability to remember things was restored when the hormone was also restored. Benefits of exercise on memory loss in mice was also eliminated if irisin was blocked. So if they blocked the hormone and still had them exercise, suddenly the benefits of exercise went away. So it wasn't the exercise that was actually reducing the memory loss. It was the irisin generated by the exercise.
So are you saying that my desire to not get on the treadmill today may actually extend my memory and cognitive capabilities past a...
Your desire to not get on the treadmill will make it more likely for you to have memory problems.
Oh, so you're saying it's better that I get on there because it's producing
irisin is generated by muscle tissue during exercise. In tests on mice, memory deficits arose when irisin was cut out.
Okay.
So you want that irisin to be generated. And the bit that I think might have confused you was when they blocked irisin but had the mice exercise, they saw no benefits.
Okay.
So it's not the exercise itself. It's not some other thing about the exercise. It's the irisin that helps you with your memory. So they were just checking like, okay, what about the exercise helps? And they figured out, oh, it's the generation of this particular hormone during exercise that helps delay the effects of Alzheimer's. It doesn't cure it, but if you exercise less, you're more at risk for Alzheimer's.
Okay, so that makes sense to me, and I'm going to redouble my efforts. Going to hop on that treadmill today. I'm going to give it a go. Here's the question though: when they test these mice, are they little tiny treadmills they're on, like little bikes, little machinery, like pumping iron, like little mice?
Yeah, no, for the exercise, to give them exercise, they do use treadmills sometimes.
Really?
I didn't read the paper, so I don't know for sure how they tested the exercise here, but that's often a way to do it.
I love that.
And then to test the memory, they do things like teach them routes in mazes.
Right. If you want your
and
cheese.
So a mouse knows the maze. They block irisin. Suddenly the mouse can't figure out the maze anymore. It doesn't remember how to fix it, how to solve it.
Well, I can tell you this, and I don't know if this has any connection to it. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I know none of this. Not a neurologist. I don't know. But I can tell you when I have worked out, I am way better with memory, retention, recall, talk about the thing I meant to talk about. I'm way better at that. If
you work out, you're more likely to remember the next day to work out.
I like it. That is
if you don't work out, you'll forget to work out, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Okay. CrossFit mice. Chat room, you really
Actually, I love where chat rooms go in. They're like, oh no, they exercise it with tiny Stairmasters, little mouse spin classes. I love this idea.
Yeah.
Mouse weights.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good.
A little mouse gym.
Well,
and the mouse memory is them playing that memory card game.
Oh, little cards?
Yeah.
Apple. No, I'm sorry, that was a banana. It's back to the back to cheese prison or wherever you put your mice when you're done.
I have a language app where you teach you languages. They do the memory game. And honestly, sometimes I'm like, I remember the words just fine. I just can't remember where the cards are.
Oh. I love that. I love it. You got this rad memory thing that you can't remember where you put it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Also related to memory, scientists at Emory University discovered that when they disabled the RGS14 gene in mice, it made them more skilled at navigating mazes. All right. So follow me here. There's a gene and they disable it. Suddenly the mouse is smarter. Smarter isn't necessarily right. It's better at memory though. So it has a problem with remembering how to solve the maze. You disable this gene, suddenly it's solving those mazes like a pro. So they named the gene the Homer Simpson gene.
Is it because of that episode where he got a crayon up his nose and he became super smart?
No, it's because the gene makes the mice dumber.
Oh. All right. There was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer put a whole crayon up his nose for some reason. I can't remember what the deal was, but it got jammed up there and they couldn't get it out, and it made him really smart. And
see this gene. This is again same. Your brain wants to say, "Oh, the gene must make me smarter." No, the gene makes you dumber.
Right.
When they disable the gene, you got better at memory.
Smarter, right? So why are they calling it the Homer Simpson gene? So that's what
because
I'm trying to figure
it makes you dumber.
Oh, because like Homer.
Because when the gene is active, you're dumb like Homer Simpson.
Oh, this is the most anti-Homer thing they could do, though. It's so not nice to Homer.
I
know he's dumb. Look, no argument. He's dumb. I get it. He's the definition of dumb. He's probably the dumbest character in the history of television, and it serves him well. But, whatever. I love him, and he's great. And so I was trying to find an alternate.
I wonder if that crayon episode is part of this, though, where they're like, yeah, he gets smart when you disable the gene by shoving the crayons up. You may be right about that. That might have been in these guys' mind when they named it.
And I remember when they got rid of it, or in the episode, they eventually extracted it or got it out, Dr. Hubbard or whoever, Hibbard. And they did it because if he kept it in, something was going to kill him. So it was either get rid of it and be dumb again, or keep it and be the smartest guy ever but live a lot less. I can't remember what it was. But so it's possible. Maybe they were watching that and they got some idea. I don't know. But either way, I have a small story to tell about putting things up your nose, and this is very brief. When I was in junior high, for some reason, I spent an afternoon. Oh, this is so weird. I spent an afternoon in the house by myself. My dad had left his tools in the house for some reason, and he had those.
Oh, this is not sounding good.
He had those those screwdrivers that have the magnetic bits you can put in them and swap them out.
Yeah.
So they have the little, octagon-shaped bit, stick it in with magnetized.
Those are great.
Yeah, they're fine. I used to have a whole set outside. And but at the time it was kind of unique, and I had all those little bits laying around, and for some reason I thought it would be funny laying on my back in like 8th, 7th, 8th grade. If I could see how far into my nasal passage I could get one of these bits to sink. Man. I know. It's the dumbest thing. But it was like the Philips one was the most aerodynamic, and I learned, and I could get it way up there. On the left side, not so far, but the right side, I could go, whoa, get that thing way up there. And I got so good at it that I could hork that thing so high up there that I thought it was the coolest thing, and I'd tell people about it. Now, I still have goofy issues with this sinus over here.
I bet you do.
Because I think I was putting screwdriver bits up in my head.
You screwed your sinus.
Yeah. I don't know why I've never told that story before, but
that's a great story.
I did that. Yeah.
It doesn't reflect well on you. I'm sorry.
It was 8th grade. It's like, what do you do then?
Yeah, when you're in 8th grade, you do dumb things.
You're creeping up on puberty. Everyone's a jerk. It's just like a weird time, and there's worse things to do, and I just happen to be doing that.
I burned my underwear in the fireplace when I was in 8th grade.
Wait.
Because it was dirty, and I didn't want my mom to think that I couldn't get it clean, so I just burned it, thinking that would hide the evidence. And of course, all that happened is my dad was like, Why does it look like somebody burned clothes in the fire?
Yeah, no, I love that. See,
Yeah.
that's
So
I think it's
same thing.
Yeah, it's a thing of the age. We're trying to figure our crap out, and I'd never do it now, but there are times I'll be laying in bed and I'll be like, why is the right side of my face all stuffed up? Oh yeah, right. I know now because I ruined the inside of my nasal passage. Nice job.
Yeah, Phillips head will fix it right up though.
Yeah, or the flatheads would hurt. I couldn't do those, so it was all all Phillips all the time
for sure.
Speaking of Phillips all the time, there's no transition here. I just want to thank everybody who submits stories to us on our Reddit page. Tom, let's give some specific names a quick thank you.
Oh, yeah. Big thanks to Jeff Rose and Ripley Ludacris. Ripley Ludacris had 3 stories today. So don't forget, we're always looking. Submit some stories and vote on them, too, at currentgeek.reddit.com.
Come to think of it, in 2013, when I had I hired Schwood to perform at that Nerdtacular to do his magic show. And one of the things he does is the nail in the nose. And I was the volunteer to come up and watch him do that. And no one there would know this, but in my head, I'm going, oh my gosh, this is payback for that dumb thing. It really felt like that. But anyway, hey, that's awesome and all. But here's another thing I wanted to tell you, fine folks at home. If you like this show and you like what we're putting together and you would like to just toss $1 our way, let's say, something cheap like that, head on over to patreon.com/currentgeek. You can do that. There's also some other levels in there where you get some rad stuff. The membership cards still go out every month with custom artwork by me. And these are like nice, like you'd want to keep these and hang on to them. They have Tom and I's signatures. So one day you could lift those signatures and use them to forge our checks. Yeah, exactly. So just look at the fun you could have if you joined us over there at patreon.com/currentgeek.
I'd say buy us a cup of coffee, but for that you'll have to pledge at the $5 level because coffee is expensive now.
Yeah,
but you can buy us less than a cup of coffee and still support the show.
Do you remember that old? It seemed like in old movies, coffee's like 50 cents. Like, give me a coffee. That'll be 50 cents.
Slap a quarter on the table and that pays for it.
That doesn't exist now. Starbucks has ruined it for everybody. It's all $3.50 plus. There's no getting around it. I mean,
I don't know if it's Starbucks' fault or if coffee just like people just demanded it and the price goes up and demand goes up, you know?
Yeah. Plus they got fancier and you put weird stuff in them. There's no more just
then it's really expensive. Like just a black cup of coffee is at least $2 or $3.
Yeah, that's true. See, that's
but yeah, if you want a latte, now you're talking $4 or $5. And then if you want special flavors and stuff, then it's mortgage in your house.
Well said. Anyway, so there's that. Go check it out. Patreon.com/currentgeek. And now join us for the fun that is usually this.
The future promises even more startling things to come.
By fun, I'm not kidding. This is our forecast part of the show. We used to have a show called Forecast where we would predict the future. Now we just do it as a small segment on the show. It can be about technology or entertainment or whatever it is. And today, Tom has a prediction, and he will share it with us now.
Folks who remember the old Forecast podcast that was all about predictions know that vat-grown meat was a favorite topic that we returned to time and again. I got to try some fake meat, not the Impossible Burger. Impossible Burger 2.0 was shown off at CES, and in fact, it won Best of CES from Engadget. But I got to try Beyond Meat, which is not as good as the Impossible Burger, but definitely tastes like a beef product. Maybe like your high school cafeteria burger tastes like, but still good enough that I didn't realize it was not actual beef until somebody pointed out like, hey, that's Beyond Meat. My prediction is that these new beef replacements will largely displace turkey burgers on menus in the next few years. They're not going to knock real beef because a lot of people are like, I don't want no fake beef. I want real beef. But the people who are health conscious or vegetarians who actually want a burger but doesn't have any meat in it will cause both. I'll extend this to both the turkey burger and the garden burger to disappear off the menu.
Okay. Interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, like the turkey thing is the alternative right now simply because of its, I guess, health reasons.
Yeah. I don't think anybody likes a turkey burger because it's a turkey burger unless they started eating it often enough that they kind of grew to like it, right?
I agree.
Nobody says like, I'm going to start a turkey burger shop. No, it's a burger shop that also has turkey burgers.
Right.
Because somebody wants to eat healthy and have something close.
Now, do you think this is a permanent solution aside from the potential growth.
I don't think this knocks out beef burgers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, it will for some people, but I don't think this knocks the beef burger off the menu.
Oh, well, interesting. I mean, I don't mind the Beyond Beef stuff or the Impossible Burger stuff. I've only had one or two occasions to even try it. We don't have an actual Impossible Burger here or a Beyond Meat or any of that here. But
there's plenty of chains doing the Impossible Burger. I'm sure there must be a place in
yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think the one I had was totally by accident. It was like some menu of a place I'd been to a million times, and I ordered it to see, and it was good. Like you said, kind of high school good, high school cafeteria good, which
apparently Impossible Burger 2.0 won Best of CES because it really is close to a real burger.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's really cool. But, good enough for a visit to the White House. What's wrong with a little cheap burger once in a while? It's not a problem. The point is...
when the government has no money, that's what you buy.
Turkey burgers never quite do it for me. So I'm all for this being something that happens in the future. So let's all pray to your meat gods, everybody, and get
Or your faux meat.
Your faux meat god. Dear faux meat god. Could you please...
Which of the Greek pantheon is the god of fake meat?
I don't know. I'm trying to think which who's the dirty, crusty one that's always making weapons. He could do this on the side.
Hephaestus.
Yeah, Hephaestus.
God of fake meat and armor.
I've got to make burgers after I make this sword and hammer for you. I love it. He's always been the guy I just expect to be behind the counter with a big dirty apron on making greasy, dirty food. That's what I
think. Yeah, all right. I can see that.
He's your guy. Now we're going to play a little something called The Best Thing of All Time This Week. That's right. The best thing of all time this week begins with me. These are things that we just love and we're using this week and we think are the best things of all time this week anyway. And for me, it's something I've had for a while, but I want to reiterate it because I just finished maybe one of my favorite things I've ever done on it. And I'm so freaking proud of it that I just want to recommend it to everybody from budding small, just sort of half-interested artists all the way up to people doing professional work. And that is the current leader in digital painting, I believe, and that is the combination of the Apple Pencil, the iPad Pro, 12.9-inch, and an app called Procreate. And if you follow me on Twitter and stuff, you've heard me talk about this stuff before, I believe they have hit just pay dirt, and I don't mean just financially. They have hit the perfect mix of what an artist wants and needs, the convenience and the reason that digital is cool for artists anyway, but the ability to work in it as a medium that makes it feel like you're still working in a more traditional medium, whether you're painting or you're inking, you're coloring, you're sketching, whatever it is, that combination of stuff has worked out really well. So as an example, I'll show the chat room this. If I can find it, here we go. I just finished a piece called The Vendor, and I'll put it up here on the screen. It is a just picture of a really old dude in like kind of a fantasy environment type thing where he sells goods to adventurers. Like, you need an old skull and 3 eyes of newt or whatever it is. Here's a potion to help you heal, and here's a mana potion or whatever. That kind of guy sitting behind his counter with all of his stuff. I decided to go super detailed with this. And it just so happens that this combination of tools lets me sink into the creativity part and not think about the technical, not think about the medium. I just go for it. There's no distractions. You get to just create and come out on the other side with some of your best work, I believe. And I'm seeing it happen from everybody, like I said, from black and white pencil sketches to people who like to work in watercolor to people who like to work in oil painting. They're getting it. They're kind of getting it all in this combo. So,
and if you're listening to the audio, folks, the drawing that he's showing is super detailed. It's not just the guy at the counter selling the mana, but all that stuff back on the shelf behind him, the skull and the box and the tentacles and the little doll and stuff like that's what stands out to me as like, if you were having to think about your tools more, you wouldn't have done that many things with that much detail.
No, in fact, if anything, I mean, it still took a ton of time, as one would expect. It's, it's work. It takes time to do it, but it's so immersive that I just don't have to think about the process of it as much as I would with either a traditional tablet and making sure everything's working with the PC it's connected to and that the software's calibrated right and that the lag is ever present on almost every other device. I don't have lag here. That's the technical achievement. I don't even before people think I'm some kind of Apple shill on this, I actually think Apple kind of stumbled upon this and didn't really intend for this to be such a good artist tool. I think they just wanted to have good pen integration, and they got that, and it works for lots of applications. But I don't think they knew how strong it would be, especially when certain apps would take special advantage of it. So I'm happy for that happy accident. I'd be thrilled to hear that Tim Cook and those guys really meant to do this, but I'm secretly nervous they have no idea and that they'll screw it up somehow. So, you know, don't get me wrong here. But as a flash, what's the word? A snapshot of the time we're in. If you're a digital artist out there, it is just such an awesome combo between format, ease of use, portability, battery life, lack of lag, and latency, that sort of stuff. And then just letting the tools do their work so that you don't have to think about any of those aspects. You just draw and create, and on the other end of it, you're doing some of your best work, in my opinion. So anyway, that's my favorite thing of all time this week, and I love it.
That's a perfect example of why we do this segment, where you just got super excited about something. It's not even something new, but this week you just were like, this is the best.
It is, yeah.
Love it.
Part of it is because I hunkered over this thing, drawing this particular piece, like most of Sunday. And so it was just on my mind. But yeah, people should be using it.
Mine is not nearly as important to myself or others. My best thing of all time this week is, it requires a little backstory. A year ago, a coworker of Eileen's gave us an Nespresso Virtuo machine. So if you know what a Keurig is, it's kind of like that. Nespresso makes a couple of lines. The Virtuo it got bigger capsules and supposedly more full-bodied flavor because of that. We've been using it for a year. I use it from time to time. Eileen loves it, uses it every day. But I still like to make my old drip coffee with my Misto box beans that I grind, and I always get different cool beans from Misto box. But over the holidays, we ordered their special Nespresso Virtuo flavor, which they do every year. Last year they did peppermint. This year they did French-inspired flavors, and one of those flavors was macaron.
Oh,
it's so good, Scott.
Is it too desserty? I would think it'd be too desserty.
It's not. I was worried about that. I was worried it would be kind of sweet. It's not. It's not sweet. It's not sweetened, right? It has a little bit of a sweet coffee flavor, but there's no sugar in it.
Yeah.
So it's not cakey. And it's the closest thing out of espresso that just tastes like a really good, deep, rich, dark drip coffee. A lot of the other coffees are a little lighter, or they're a little more on the espresso side because it is, Nespresso. But this one just tastes like drip coffee, and it's done in a flash. Sadly, they stopped making them. You can't order them anymore. It was done in December, so that's it.
Oh.
I will never get them again.
Well, I mean, maybe
so. I'm treasuring the ones I have left. That we bought.
Do they make? Can I get chai pods on this thing? Chai tea stuff type?
No, I know you can do that for the Keurig. They don't really do tea for the Nespresso. It's all just coffees, and they also don't have third parties making it. Only Nespresso makes the pods for it. So.
Oh, interesting. So do they have their own form of like DRM for that sort of thing, or I guess they all kind of.
I don't know if it's DRM'd or if it's just not profitable for other people to make it like it is for Keurig.
It's interesting to me. The Keurig thing, we had to do the thing where you tape the sensor so that it didn't try to read the thing, and it worked fine. It was such a dumb DRM. It's like, I don't know what that's like. I don't know. It's like me. It was the equivalent of me on a podcast saying, "You're not allowed to listen to this show." Okay, now on with the show. Like that was like the most low level freaking security ever. But anyway.
Oh, Reckless Arc asked if Nespresso has done anything about the pods because they felt bad about producing waste because of the pods. When you order pods directly from Nespresso, you can get a free bag for recycling.
Oh.
And it's postage paid. You just put all your pods in there, and once it's filled up, you seal it up, take it to the post office, and mail it, and they supposedly recycle it.
They have a whole section on the website says recycling. If you hover over it, you get their commitment to it, their bags, these locations you can drop stuff off, and then what happens to these capsules. So it seems like they're at least addressing it. It'd be cool if they could figure out how to make them so that at the end of the process, most of whatever the material is that is right now plastic, instead of that could be a biodegradable part of the coffee. That sounds weird and gross, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, like a biodegradable plastic or something.
Yeah. Something that wouldn't ruin still make it taste good, or
right. It wouldn't biodegrade until you've done with making the coffee.
Right. And you just hope that it worked out fine. Because if it didn't, you're screwed. I
still make my trip. I got a great Mexican roast that came in from Misto Box, and I've gone back to that. And I'm also sort of like putting off when I'm run out of the macaron. So I save the macarons for the days when I'm kind of tired and don't want to go through the process of grinding the beans or whatever. But yeah, that's my thing.
Well, the next flavor they're releasing, it says right here, will be the Macaron flavor, which is the
it tastes like rebellion against the government.
That's right.
It comes in a little yellow container.
With the vest, like a little vest.
I think my Love American style just arrived.
Oh, yay. Thank goodness. That's fantastic. All right. Well, that's that.
I'll explain what that means in a second.
Yeah. Please do. Before we get out of here, a reminder that Legal Geek likes to swing in here at the end of our shows and leave a little tidbit of legal fun stuff that's usually tied into some nerdy topic or another. And for example, this week he talks about the Carlton dance. You know, the one from the old Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Well, they got sued by the makers of Fortnite and by the makers of NBA 2K. Sorry, it's the other way around. Carlton is suing them. I've done this all day today. I've mixed up who's doing what. The mice are smarter? No, they're dumber. Anyway, because of these
I would have called him Charleston instead of Carlton.
Good job.
I'm right there with you.
So it's the Charleston dance. Anyway, there's been a lot of this going on. Some rappers are suing them. The idea is basically...
Did you know Fortnite lost its Better Business Bureau? Got an F from the Better Business Bureau?
No, really?
Or, I'm sorry, Epic Games got an F from Better Business Bureau over its support. So
wow, really?
According to my Amazon Echo show, yes.
I wonder if some of that is due to the fact that there was such meteoric growth, like it just exploded out of nowhere that they couldn't keep up with it. I think that's probably it. But anyway, you want to follow that scene and what's going on with it? Well, Legal Geek's got you covered. He says you won't want to miss the first 15 seconds of this segment, so stick around right after for that. Next week, we do the autopilot edition of the show for Love American Style. American Style.
This is a TV show from the late 60s, early 70s that featured vignettes, but it was a launching pad for a lot of actors. Harrison Ford famously had a vignette that was in Love American Style, and they used it to create mini pilots. Happy Days actually came out of a segment on Love American Style.
That's right. A lot of people thought it was a competing thing or a failed version of what Happy Days was, but no. It was like it was spawned from it. And so much more.
Love American Style is basically the meta pilot because we're going to talk about its pilot and also the fact that it launched a bunch of other shows because it was the source of their pilots.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever want to see something with a guy named Rick Carrot in it, we got you covered. Oh, there's Ron Howard. Oh, Ronnie Howard.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. They called him Ronnie back then. Anyway, so that's next week right here on the show. Tom, before we go today, do you have anything you'd like to promote, push, pimp, or otherwise talk about?
Speaking of things, if you like a show that's just things, I've got one for you that Molly Wood and I do called It's a Thing, where we talk about culture and trends and stuff that's catching our eye and what it means to be a human in this day and age. It's all there from spaghetti to Korean dramas at itsathing.me.
Very nice. I would also point your eyeballs. Okay, so there you got your listening in, right? You listen to Tom and Molly and went, oh, that was great to listen to. And then you're like, man, my eyes sure feel like they need some help. I need something to watch. Well, here's what that is for you. You can go over and watch me play video games, particularly scary ones, and see what a big freaking baby I am at Frog Pants Plays over at frogpants.tv. In fact, if you're watching live, that's where you are right now. But 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, for 2 hours during those days, I stream. Currently, I'm streaming Resident Evil 7. We're getting close to the end. Probably will finish that up on Thursday. And it's a really, really fun time. Lots of interaction with the chat room, lots of screaming and being an idiot, and it's fun. So check it out. More details on that at frogpants.com, along with everything else we have going on. And I think that's going to do it for us. Huge thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. CurrentGeek.com, of course. Don't forget, that's the website, Tom, currentgeek.com. You might be familiar with it. It's a place to go. Yeah.
Like CALM?
COM, I know.
Oh, COM.
Like short for computer. Like that.
Oh, is that what it's? I always thought it was something else. Huh.
Or communication even, or combat. No?
Yeah, or compact.
Or yeah, there's a million of them, but we won't go through them all. However, that's a place to go and be there and enjoy our offerings. And that's usually just stuff that helps you get you around the show. Check out our Patreon. We love your support over there. currentgeek.reddit.com is our Reddit page. And as always, you can email us, currentgeek@gmail.com. That's going to do it for Tom and I, for me, for Tom, and for all of you. We'll see you next time.